wonderful.
So great.
It's like, you know, you go to open your mouth to say something, and before your brain even remembers what you're going to say, your whole body is like, nope, you're anxious.
Yeah.
It probably has something to do with the fact that there's a shitload of local people telling me that natives don't deserve a stimulus because we have casino money, which I don't get, and
that's not horrendous.
And that we just want to live off of the government. That's what I was told.
God.
And then someone told me, I'm not afraid of you because you have pronouns in your bio.
What?
Because I clarified that I am he, him, that I identify as a mask, they decided that I couldn't possibly be, I don't know, a threat or a worthwhile opinion or something because I care about people being misgendered. So,
okay.
Transphobe's gonna transphobe, I guess.
Talk about fragile, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I really need to listen to Thus Moser, but then at some point we wanted to do a video where we just get mad at the news.
I'm really excited about it. Because as it turns out, I'm just mad at the news all the time.
Dude, and we watch the news and rant about it constantly, and we were like, okay, I feel like these are the kind of discussions that if people saw, maybe they would like, so.
It's true. Yeah.
Frax, if you're watching this, Guppy, if you're watching this is the Nosquist remix. It was uploaded 2 weeks ago. It only has 278 views. It's dope. It's super good. So. Oh, it's got the bed squeak. I love that shit. You ready?
All right, I think so. I feel slightly fixed. I finally fixed my fringe and like put some layers in my hair, which I'm like stoked about because like now they do like cute piecey stuff like this that I fucking love.
In the meantime, I might have to fucking chop all this shit off because look at this giant flock next to me.
Middling hair is a horrible, god-awful nightmare.
I hate, you know what, this hair is probably 60% of my anxiety today. No.
Too big mood though.
Alright, so here's the full disclosure for me because I'm putting all this stuff up as like a record-keeping thing, alright? I quit smoking completely cold turkey 2 weeks ago. I went out day before yesterday and had like a quarter of a cigarette that I found in my car, which I should not do, but that's it. So I'm probably going to cough a little bit and be all hat, but my lungs are getting better, and I can already feel how much better I can sing, so that's awesome.
Loud Trap was good. We're listening to some Thus Moser at the moment, but in just a second, we're gonna watch the news and get back. Welcome. Hey, thanks. What's up, Steve? That's tasty. I need lip chat. I'm chapped. I'm chapped, you guys. Seriously, I don't have a single like normal ass lip chat anymore? Fuck. I don't have lip chat in here? What kind of terrible gay am I? Lip smackers. Queer staple.
Oh.
Today I have Dr. Pepper flavored scented. Honey blunt.
Count Baldor, by the way, one
Count.
DJ you don't want to fuck with,
It's true.
go stream that shit. This is one DJ you don't want to fuck with.
It is. they do not want to fuck with.
Do not fuck
Not.
with Count Baldur.
You don't want.
Period. If you were thinking about fucking with Count Baldur,
Don't.
do not.
What's up, everybody? So here's the plan today, and sorry, I'm not like talking to.
It's fine. We got another stream going over there.
Insta and Twitch and all sorts of shit going on. Yeah, today we're gonna do what we normally do just between the two of us, which is sit here, watch the news, get mad about it, and yell.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So here we go. Armed protesters try to storm Michigan Capitol over virus protection order.
This really seemed to escalate, and we got those vivid.
This is a frustrating one for me for like a few really specific reasons.
I found out that
armed
people in the UK and even some people in Canada have no idea that this is going on. They're sitting in their homes like taking this super seriously, and they were like, "Wait, you guys are leaving?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's people protesting in mass with guns and shit." And like my friend in the UK was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Americans are."
He's like, but there's a virus out there. We're like, we know.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
From their chest. You can see that not just yesterday, but on a fairly
Wow,
regular basis.
big old
They
fucking
were,
white nationalists up
prevalent
there.
Yesterday. They were not
waving
the group
their
that actually
"Don't
put on
tread
their
on
protest.
me"
It's
and
called,
fucking
Michigan.
I saw one that was.
stars and bars ass bullshit.
I saw one that was the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and the snake was on a ventilator, and it said patriotic coughing.
We shot yesterday. In fact, it went viral. It had like 12 million views. Where they were trying to get onto the House floor. Michigan State Police and the sergeants at arms were preventing them from getting in. And part of their frustration was the fact that the gallery upstairs, which is where they would normally sit in and close.
The guy's like wearing an American flag.
It's like the world's tiniest
as a cape.
A video
Which patriots will always tell you that you're not supposed to wear the flag or whatever the flag. Okay, like I don't care, but I'm just saying if you're claiming to be all about American freedom.
Right, but see that's what it is. It's hypocrisy on like in the most dissonant, infuriating, like it's patriotism when it suits you. It's follow the laws when it suits you.
As long as the law is not inconveniencing your ability to go get your nails done and get a beer at the local pizza place.
Respect the police until it inconveniences
Until
you.
the police are telling you to stay home, then don't respect the police apparently.
And here's, I think, probably one of the most frustrating things as a leftist, not a liberal, is what these fucking assholes are doing is causing this, like, ripple effect where they're trying to make it seem like it's about freedoms.
So that the fence sitters and the libs will fucking...
And the liberals are like, see, this is why we need to take away everyone's guns. And the left is like...
No, this has nothing to do with
no.
taking... None
God
of this...
damn it, no!
Here's the deal. Here's my ideology on the whole thing, is that none of this has anything to do with the rules or the way that this virus is being manipulated to control us. Because I kind of can see how that's happening. That's always kind of been the way. The government's job is to take an emergency and make control out of chaos, right?
Sure.
That's what they've always been about. But here's the thing. This virus, whether it was man-made, whether it came from animals, whether it came from the earth just naturally, whatever the fuck happened to make it, it doesn't give a fuck. It doesn't care about the economy. It doesn't care about your paycheck. It doesn't care about your utility bill or your rent. What it will do is it will fuck your shit up.
It'll fucking kill you.
And if you feel like you know your job and your ability to go and make a paycheck is more important than your life, then I don't know. I feel sorry for the people that you're possibly leaving behind when you die. But
right,
anyway.
and then all the other people in your community are subjecting to a fucking horrific, deadly illness. And then, starting infighting between fucking hand-wringing liberals and people actually trying to, like, I don't know, make a difference. Like, fucking the commies and anarchists and even progressives, to their credit, really do often do their best. And then you end up, at least I've ended up, in, like, the most infuriating circle arguments where I'm like, you realize how these people are being controlled by fascists to storm the streets, infect themselves, and simultaneously argue for us to open back up, so that they don't have to pay us unemployment. That is literally that is the whole thing. These dumb fucks are heavily armed and being completely manipulated, and then cite "but my freedoms" when anyone tries to say, hey, maybe don't be a fucking jackass.
Okay, so this one has 19,000 views 3 hours ago. I went directly to Fox News because I like to go directly to the most delusional of news sources that I can find.
Ooh, we should check out some, what is it, One America News or whatever the
God,
fuck.
the one that, always fucking
Trump's
wipes Trump's ass for him? Yeah, that'd be amazing.
The Congressional Budget Office and private forecasters seem to agree with President Trump that the second half economy is going to show very significant growth going into 2021.
So what can we expect as more states reopen throughout this transition month? Joining us now to discuss, White House Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett. Kevin, thanks for being with us this morning. Really appreciate it. Give us the White House perspective on the month of May. What is your hope when the month is out?
Yeah.
What do you hope will be?
Well, I want to hear what he has to say about the money, because the money's just what's important. Fuck our lives and our health.
Every state will be mostly open economically. Right now, there's a heck of a lot of gradual opening going on. Even some states are starting with safe distancing and so on to follow our guidelines and open even restaurants safely. And so I expect that what's going to happen is that we're going to gain more and more experience about how to run our economy safely.
What are you smiling about, you smug piece of shit?
Our access to testing is going to go way up, and our access to medical supplies, so that we don't have to worry about hitting capacity.
Our access.
Will go up.
Do you know what he means by our access to testing? He means our production of testing. It means somewhere in the world, someone has to go to work really hard to produce a shitload of tests, which is true. Absolutely. We need as many tests as possible.
Yeah.
But using the word access to testing, that is a way to safeguard a sense of privilege when
Who's sending their own fucking the people they
health or economic as you gauge how powerful the return is.
How powerful is the return going to be?
Daily updates on what's going on with the disease in every state. We even have it at the county level. And we're also getting data every week on claims for unemployment insurance. And, next Friday we'll get a jobs report, which will be the first glimpse of sort of how bad the shutdown has hurt things. And so we're watching everything we can get our hands on. We also have access to credit card data so that we can get a real-time glimpse.
We also have access to credit card data so we can get a real-time glimpse, kind of like how they just dropped all that money into your bank account if you did direct deposit taxes last year. They can put money in, they can also take money out, they can see what you're buying. Rest assured, whatever you've spent your stimulus on, they have full records of it, and they're going to use those against you if they have to. If there's any point that you as an individual citizen are brought before a court in the future, they'll bring up your financial records, and they're going to talk about the irresponsible ways that you may or may not have spent the stimulus, even though the stimulus is your tax money. So just keep that in mind.
Kevin, you mentioned credit card debt. A lot of people are sitting on that, or businesses.
Right, and you said it spot on to
They're funding their payrolls, but they're waiting.
If we are going to be expected to
There's already talk possibly
give
on
money
Capitol Hill of a fourth stimulus
from
bill, Democrats.
our tax money that is then handed to us in stimulus, if we are then expected to use that money for utilities or rent or mortgage or survival necessities, they may as well fucking hand it straight to the banks, hand it straight to the utility companies, fucking stockholders, just give it directly to them and just
Totally.
have some fucking balls. Like, have a spine then. If you're gonna be evil, then fucking be evil and just take our money and give it to the rich people and say that's what you're fucking doing, but don't piss on me and call it rain. And it's so... It makes me so mad because their fucking followers believe them. They, for better or for worse, these people fucking believe in them. Like,
they really do.
To take care of them.
They think that this is going to be okay,
tragic.
and the economy's going to be fine as long as we get back to work. They don't know that gigantic casualty spikes is going to really affect the economy actually much more, horrific. Because then the workforce will be decreased so much that our production will drop, which is, I mean, this is the thing. I fucking hate this entire system. Like, as a native, I would really much like to us going back to living a little bit more in harmony with the natural world. It always makes me sound kind of like a hippie when I say it. But I will say that for people that claim to love this system, they don't seem to understand what their actions are actually going to do even like 3 or 4 moves ahead. It's not even like a big chess strategy or anything here. It's pretty simple. If you put people back to work, if you cancel eviction protection and unemployment insurance and things like that, if you remove protections from people based on this epidemic, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to get a shitload more people killed. We have 60,000. Last week I was posting on Facebook that there was about 2 million people in the world that were confirmed to have cases just with testing, and there were 20,000 cases worldwide. This was like, I think, early of last week, right? Now, there are 200,000 deaths. Did I say cases? I'm sorry, there were 20,000 deaths worldwide. Now there are 200,000 deaths from this, right?
65K in the U.S. alone.
10 times the amount of deaths that there were last week, and the number is now at about 3.5 million. It's at 3.5 million. So,
I'm sorry, but I don't have to be an economist or a fucking epidemiologist to surmise that perhaps everyone flooding back into workplaces might make this illness worse.
yeah.
That, like, in what universe is that not common knowledge unless you genuinely think it's a hoax? And then holy shit, my dude, I have some news for you.
I was gonna say, if you're as worked up as China right now, like, please understand that that's, like, we warned you that that's what this video is. We were gonna tell you our opinion on this news because it's pretty horrendous. And to say that your area hasn't been affected, to say that you haven't seen a great enough example of infection rates, of fatalities,
Do you want
to say, oh,
what
I don't know anybody that's contracted this, I don't know anybody that's died from this.
Good.
So I guess, yeah, that's kind of the next question is like, all right, well, are you trying to push it to the point that we do see that? Because that's what happened in San Francisco in the 1918 during the influenza outbreak, was people were like, no, this is bullshit. We need to be able to go back to work. We need to be able to save the economy. It was actually literally broken record to what this is right now.
Yeah, the anti-mask league. Seriously.
Exactly. And after the protests, there was, once again, huge spikes in fatalities. And this weird 65,000 in just the U.S. alone thing, that's one spike. That's only one. We haven't experienced more.
The second one, which is almost always worse.
Yeah, because
historically, every pandemic that has ever affected in a widespread way humans, first wave sucks. We start to try to do something about it because, of course,
surely this will stop Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
But we have no attention span, so we get fucking bored and are like, well, gotta get back out into the world.
Their lives should also
see what AOC has to say.
By the fear of eviction, by the fear of foreclosure, or worse.
Okay, so
I love
the
that
answer? Is this the right response?
a lot of people watch AOC on her own without context, and they're like, God, she's just bitching and complaining and scared all the time and paranoid about shit. But then, like, when you watch it in a video like this, where we're here, like, we literally just said that. A lot of us are scared and we don't want to go back to work because we don't want to die. But anyway, continue.
They're paying their mortgage the first of the month right now. A lot of people do need help. What do you think is the answer?
Well, this will be the second month that we've gone since the coronavirus and folks that have had to pay rent. And I think this creates a real problem for a lot of renters all across the country. But let me be very clear. This also creates a problem for landlords across the country because as renters are
And let me be very clear at that point right there. You know why it creates a problem for landlords? Because the banks create a problem for landlords. And do you know why banks create a problem for landlords? Because the government creates a problem for the banks. Anyway, what were you saying?
Actually, you know what that makes me think, honestly? It's the government does the opposite of creating a problem for the banks.
Yeah, it's true.
That's really what it is. The government lets the banks do whatever the fuck they want.
The government
which
ensures
means that they can put the pressure on landlords,
Fair
which
enough.
ensures that landlords who are inherently somewhat predatory, by definition, of course, put pressure on tenants. It's not that complicated. It really is not.
By the way, if you're a landlord watching this and you're like really upset and worried about what we're saying about landlords, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would be happy to discuss this with you civilly.
Sure.
I don't wish harm on anybody at all. I don't want anybody to have to suffer through this. Even landlords, I don't want bankers. I don't even want the politicians and the people that are denying this to suffer from it. They're making me feel very bad about this whole situation because I just want to take it seriously and be safe.
And they could literally get us killed. That's a little upsetting.
And they more than likely are going to get themselves killed. The thing that yesterday, I think the thing that really got us going. The thing that really got us going yesterday, I think, was when we were watching the Michigan protest, which is like, it's whatever. But there were so many kids, you guys. There were so many people dragging their little ones out there. And that's just, I mean, it's whatever. Maybe it's all just a big hoax and their kids will be fine. What were you saying?
Not being able to make repairs, which is why we have to figure out some way to provide some relief to the American people who are worried, who are anxious about whether or not they're going to be able to pay May's rent or June's rent.
Yeah.
And so we've really got to figure out a way to do this and do this the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this.
The government hands you your tax dollars and then you give it back to your landlord. That's how they're going to do this.
I had
They're going
tenants
to do
in
it
there
for
for a long
a couple
time,
more
Aaron, and
months.
I was sitting there thinking, you know, if they came to me and said, I can't pay my rent this month, ultimately that falls back on me, and then I have to be the one to then deal with, you know, trying to call my mortgage company, see if they can help me. So the brunt of this is going somewhere. It is falling on someone's shoulders.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think AOC realizes that.
Okay. Can I just point out, all of this pressure, the brunt of this is based on a system of checks and balances and debt that we created, that we brought about and created and necessitated for the purpose of making trade better and for the purpose of creating an economy. So the economy was actually created to serve us. We were supposed to use the economy as a means
just
for
to
all
stay
of
organized.
us to stay organized and for all of us to it was originally created for all of us to have greater opportunity, because if you can universalize value into money, then anybody that has any skill can essentially trade their skill for another skill. It doesn't have to just be, I can shear sheep, you have corn, let's make a trade. It can be like, I'll do this now, and then you give me something. It was a voucher that I can then trade for anything later. That's what it's supposed to be.
It is.
So, if you're under the impression that it's worth risking your health or the health of your loved ones, your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, because the economy is that important, that it's really that, I would just kind of ask you, like, do you think that the economy was made for something other than you? Because it was made for you. Like, it was made for you, it was made for you, it was made for you, it was made for that bitch on the TV, it was made for me, like, it was made for everybody. We're supposed to be benefiting from it, not killing ourselves for it.
Totally. I'm finding this fascinating because they really are, even though it's Fox News, even though it's explicitly propaganda, they are still unable to have this conversation without admitting, at least a little bit, that what is happening is not working for a lot of people, their own viewers and constituents alike. So they are now, because they are myopic and selfish, just now realizing that, maybe this affects us too. Oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating watching Fox News have hashtag cancel rent featured on the, like,
hashtag cancel rent movement grows amid pandemic, but they're naysaying the fuck out of this. They want you to know that this cancel rent thing is something.
They're trying, but that's kind of my point. They're trying, but they can't.
Are they? Do you feel like putting hashtag cancel rent on a Fox News banner? Do you feel like we could kind of easily, if we wanted to, jump to the assumption that that is attempting to send the right after, like, left book and after leftist spaces online?
I think it, of course. I mean, any sort of direction of their viewership, of Fox News viewership, especially toward, especially like a hashtag movement or a group on like a. Or,
the SJWs. Anytime you're going after the SJWs.
In any context. So, I think it could do that, but what I think this is really showing is that, what I was getting at, is that even though they want to naysay it, they really can't naysay it, because we need help.
Actually,
and so it's like, even this woman is like, we have to admit that the burden falls somewhere, and people do need help. Like, they said that on Fox News. And honestly, like, I count that as a fucking win and a foothold to work from.
Also, I gotta point this part out for anybody that's watching and wants to do a cool little deep dive thing. Right now, what we're doing is we're watching a Fox News video on their channel called AOC and Squad join calls to cancel rent amid coronavirus pandemic. We're paused at about 1 minute and 50 seconds. If you go to that screen and you look at the faces of everybody on that screen, these are the faces of people who about a month ago thought that they had enough money that they were going to be able to protect themselves from the natural world and the way that it attacks us, right? And this is the face that they make now, realizing that they also need to start taking this seriously, which is why, if you notice,
Fox News
Fox News is doing this thing where they're backing up the president as much as possible. They're saying like, oh yeah, liberate Michigan, open the economy, and they're going off about the economy and about the way that this is affecting our financial infrastructure. However, if you look at their employees and their office policies right now, every single person in that office is fucking terrified.
And the fact that they're even discussing #cancel-rent on fucking Fox News is wild. Eric Cash, I'm stoked that you could join us.
What up, Eric?
Yeah.
We're not
Eric
calling
is fucking amazing. They are a seasoned activist and, like, incredible person.
Welcome. This is just us. We just smoked a big old fat blunt, and now we're getting mad at Fox News.
The economy is a nebulous term. It's a capitalist economist term that they tell you means the distribution of resources, but it doesn't. It really means the process, the profits from resources being traded.
Not just
which
traded.
is such an important distinction.
Also, wonderful point, Eric, and to even emphasize more of that, not just traded, produced. Thank you very much. I work my fucking ass off to produce the wealth of this nation. So do you, so does pretty much anybody that's part of our working class.
Like, the economy does try to take credit for that, but, like, it's not just
Isn't it great that Wall Street is able to generate all this wealth?
So amazing.
And we have nothing to do with it?
So miraculous.
I'm sorry. I'm, stepping all over everything, but, what were you all saying?
With landlords, and they need to pay their bills, and they need to feed their families. I couldn't agree with Mr. Fowler more, which probably doesn't happen that often, although I like him very much. AOC, although she's an environmentalist, I think she believes that money grows on trees, because everyone has obligations right now. Look, we have 30.3 million Americans out of work in the last 6 weeks. There is a tragedy going on here. There is a crisis in America, and her ideas don't seem to have any solutions and are not grounded in reality in any way whatsoever.
Isn't it miraculous when Republicans approach the point? Isn't it like it's wild to watch? Like, are they gonna say it? Like when it's when it has to do with fucking I don't even know. Like money doesn't just grow on trees, except for it actually really totally does.
I was just going to say the reason that we both struggle with that one is because, and I don't know if China feels the same way, but like my exact mentality of it is money doesn't really grow on trees, but it starts on trees, and then the working class pick it off the trees, and then they process it, and then they turn it into food that you and I and the working class and the rich and the ruling class all eat. That's where money comes from.
Right.
Anyway.
It's like natural resources that exist whether we extract and trade them or not.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This planet provides plenty of survival necessities. That's kind of like that's its whole thing.
It's funny because everyone's talking about how this last month was oil's market low, right? And it's
negative 40
and
or
it's true
shit.
because it was negative 40, and the reason that that's amazing is because before humans were involved, the price of oil was zero. So to get it to negative 40, we've done a bang up job in that industry.
You have an op-ed, just to make that clear, you have an op-ed on FoxNews.com right now, and it says that the coronavirus stimulus, this will help millennials the most. Why do you think that?
Right. So what that op-ed
Can we do a generational clarification for my viewers over on Twitch? I'm sure that your viewers probably know.
How do you mean?
Millennials. Why will millennials be affected the most? And this is a term that's
Why do you think?
I mean, our age. We're the working class right now. We're essentially the ones that are right in the age where we're not so old that our bodies are starting to fall apart and we're going into retirement, and we're not so young that we're just entering the workforce. We are essentially the brunt of the working
We're
class.
We're also the largest generation.
That's true.
We have the largest working age adults. We are the largest, and just millennials are the biggest.
And for those of you, and because it's such a weird term, it's like, I'll have to look up the actual years, but it's basically like the baby boomer generation, the Gen Xers, which goes all the way up to anyone that was born in like up to 1983 or something in the early 80s, and then from the early 80s into the like mid to late 90s, if you were born, if you're in your like late 20s, early 30s, maybe even late 30s at this point, right?
It's essentially adults under 40.
Yeah.
It's like a pretty good estimation of millennials, which is a lot of fucking people. Like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, the reason I clarify that is because meme culture has done this thing where we say millennials so often, and I've never addressed.
It's like infantilized.
I've never addressed it on my channel before, but I really feel like it has to be addressed. That we did this thing where we immediately separate ourselves into generations, which we've kind of always done, but we did it in this way that then became camps and then turned into
like team sports.
Oh, and as meme culture hit and boomers tried to grab a hold of it and Gen X tried to grab a hold of it, especially the fucking conservatives of Gen X, they fucking grabbed a hold of meme culture and they were like, here's some memes I made about millennials. I'm pressing them out like hotcakes, and they're fucking trash.
They just barely understand the internet, like just enough to use it to be fucking insufferable. And here's the thing: my mom is a Gen Xer. I love her more than anything.
There's wonderful people from all generations.
Here's the deal. Here's the thing.
There's bad people from all generations.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Generation X is one of the most fragile group of people on the fucking planet. Not because they're bad people, not for any fault of their own, but they hide their fragile woundedness behind this shell of alcoholism and chain smoking and music elitism and a disaffected attitude.
High art.
Because if they didn't hide behind a disaffected attitude, they would be fucking crushed under the weight of what the boomers fucking did to them. They fucked them. Yeah. They didn't give a fuck about the Gen Xers. Our parents, boomers, didn't give a fuck about y'all. Not one bit. And it has, like, crushed the life out of an entire generation of people who died en masse from overdoses or, like, faded into obscurity because they can't fucking handle it.
And
it's too much.
And there's something else that has to be clarified here too, because I'm sure that there's people from many different generations watching this. Probably a lot of Gen Z, probably some Gen X, probably some boomers. And the thing is, we're not saying this to demonize Gen X. We're not saying this to demonize boomers even, because the boomers...
I kind of am.
Hold on now, because the boomers were equally fucking shit on by their parents. And their parents were shit on by their parents. And this is the thing. This is the thing that we don't fucking think about, we don't talk about, alright? The world, humanity, has been evolving since we started, right?
Sure.
Every generation gets a little bit more compassionate towards each other. So
Agreed.
Yes, the generation before you was more callous. The generation after you is going to be gentler. That's just the way that it fucking works. It's the way humanity's evolving.
It seems to be the way that it's going. Here's the reason that I still hold boomers accountable is because they are still alive. I could really just end it there. It's because they're still alive. They're still alive. They're out there having really bad opinions that is having a really bad effect on the whole rest of the planet. They destroyed my mom's whole fucking generation. They have the balls to shit on my generation for being lazy or entitled when really we've been fighting wars on a volunteer basis for as long as we've fucking been adults.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Fuck off with that.
It's
like,
true. Actually,
how dare you?
How
dare you?
I have a coworker who is 20 years old. He's about to turn 21. And that kid doesn't really remember a world before 9/11. That kid doesn't know a world where we weren't at war with someone for some stupid and I mean, I'm not saying that 9/11 was the beginning of that, but I'm saying, like, if you think about it, we as Americans all know, if you're watching this overseas, yes, we as Americans are very fucking self-aware of the fact that our government has kept us at war. with many countries. For as many fucking years as they possibly could, they love to extend it because then it justifies their military spending. You know why there might not be a stimulus next month? Because we just poured another like $300 or $400 trillion into the military so that we can go to war with. I don't remember.
I don't even know.
I don't even remember. I forget what the fucking article said because
what is it?
I'm too busy worrying about how to fucking stay alive during a pandemic. Sorry. What were you saying?
So exactly this line of reasoning is why I am still and I feel justifiably fucking furious with boomers. Because yes, their parents shit on them. Everyone's parents shit on them. As it turns out, that's just kind of how life is, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Boomers are still fucking alive and voting and fucking stuff up and in a vast majority of positions of power and have the vast majority of the wealth, even though we are the largest demographic of adults. It's fucked up.
You guys
and
know
it's
that,
led to this.
Yeah, it's really bad.
What is this?
Also, and to be fair, not just boomers, literally anyone of any generation that's putting wealth, the economy, our checks and balances of socio-political fucking ideologies before survival.
Like the lives of, actual living humans.
I mean,
what the fuck?
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm native and I remember a bunch of smallpox blanket stories as a kid, but viruses are pretty serious last time I remember. They hurt people pretty bad.
Yeah, but this one's only being taken seriously because it's harming white people.
Even the viruses that didn't take out that many people are super bad. They get super fucking they get a lot of attention for how much damage they do to the communities that they're affected. Do you guys remember SARS? Do you remember how SARS was this huge big deal and everybody memed about it and how fucking funny it was? It only killed 700 people in the entire world throughout the entirety of its course. 700 people. That's how serious SARS was. And it wrecked those communities. It fucked them up bad. 700 is a lot. If you've ever lived in a town or a city or a big area, like a state, where you have about 700 casualties now, you know how scary that is to see that's part of your community. That's what SARS did, and that's why we took it really seriously, because it killed 700 people. This virus has killed 200,000 people, and it's not stopping yet. So.
And it's still not being taken seriously, which is like, holy crap.
The idea of forgiving student loan debt up to a certain amount. Here's what we know. We know that for the average student loan borrower makes about $48,000 a year. And we also know that they spend about 10% of their monthly income dealing with student loan payments to the United States federal government in a federally backed loan.
Don't pay your student loans.
Yeah, cancel rent. Don't pay your mortgage. Don't pay your student loans.
From the Great Depression to the Great Recession is you've got to make the middle and the lower parts of the economy work, and they've got to roar, and those folks have to have liquidity.
Or you.
And by forgiving $10,000 of student loan debt
General
or less
strike.
for these
Don't
students,
shop from
you will
big
for these folks who are now
companies.
adults, right, who are part of our society, who work in our restaurants, who work at our local bars, who work at our local retailers. They need some relief, and giving them this 10% back of their wages will create automatic liquidity into the economy and allow them to go out and make purchases, take care of their family, and possibly pay their rent.
Interesting. Erin, your final word to you.
I think we do a deferral. Where's that money going to come from? If you made the obligation to pay something, you owe that money, and that's just the American way. Defer it for 6 months.
Wait.
Go fuck yourself.
If you make the obligation to pay something, then you pay that debt, and that's just the American way.
Is it?
Shall we... Oh, I'm not the economist here. I'm not going to do it. If you're an economist and you're watching this, can you just go ahead and drop any kind of number in the chat that represents any kind of debt that America is still in today? Because we're like trillions and trillions and
bad.
fucking hundreds of trillions in debt.
We started behaving, we acknowledged and started behaving like fucking ages ago, like money doesn't mean anything and we can just print it out and fucking just inject it into the fucking stock market on a whim.
Yeah.
And like,
our debt to the United Nations and our literal interaction with the rest of the planet is not as important as little Joe and Susie down on the street paying their rent. That's the most important thing. Fuck our debt to the rest of the world. You better pay your little fucking $500 in rent, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And fuck corporations having to fucking pay their fair share. Like, why?
No.
What? Yeah, no. My rent check is definitely going to be the thing that saves the economy for sure.
I bet you a bunch of our stimulus came out of Amazon's taxes. Oh wait, no, they don't pay taxes.
For their problem. When you spend money, you gotta pay it back.
Go ahead, Richard.
Let me just say this. So what we're seeing is with the paycheck protection loans, right? If companies are actually paying workers, their loans are forgiven by the federal government. Why not extend that same benefit to the American people and the millions?
Ew, Jedi racism. Wait a second. I'm gonna jump to a huge conclusion. Hold on.
Oh jeez.
Look at the way she's looking at him at 4 minutes. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there as like a joke, as a funny meme. But like seriously, look at the way she's fucking looking. Look at this. Look at the way she's fucking looking at him. Her last words to him were "Go 10 seconds," and then she's looking at him.
This woman on the left.
By the federal government. Why not?
Full on, just like I'm really tired of hearing the brown man.
Benefit to the American people and the millions of them.
Even fucking Fox News' employees are like shitty to each other.
And a Republican problem.
Why are we like this?
Is real, and we can solve it.
She looks annoyed that he's talking.
Well, I mean, a lot of things are real right now for a lot of people. We have so many millions of people out of jobs right now, and so we're all just trying to find the answers at the same time.
Amen.
Richard and Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Amen. See, when people do shit like that, when people say shit that's human like that, I feel for it. Even after that weird little comment that I made about that weird eye contact she's making, I don't want fucking harm on her. I don't want harm on any of these people on this screen. I don't want harm on any of us, you guys. I want us to get through this. And we're not going to do that if we fucking just rush out to save the economy.
Yeah, how about you save your own fucking self and your home and your community.
Your neighbors, everyone in your town, everyone in your county. Here in the States, we have this wonderful secularism where we are united in our secular nature. And part of that is the fact that we exist in counties. We exist in counties and towns and states and cities and all that things. I think that counties are really good, basically like, what's the word? Like not border.
Or like a unit of measurement.
It's a good unit of measurement for about how large you should be concerned for the people around right now. Because if you're looking on the internet and you're looking at people,
I mean, but LA County is like millions of square miles.
And they should be looking out for each other, all of them, because they're all part of the same infection pool, whether they like it or not. They're huge and jumped and clumped into giant groups. Like, we all have to look out for our communities right now. Anywhere in the world that you are. I don't care what country you're in. Look out for yourself and your community.
Yeah, also, don't pay rent.
Yeah, seriously. If keep in mind that some people in your community are going to use global problems to try and manipulate things out of you. They're going to try and use this situation as an opportunity. It's not really their fault. It's kind of just the way that human beings are. It is a little bit their fault, to be honest. I'm not going to let them off the hook for that.
That's how we've been taught to behave.
We've always been taught that if there's a chance to do something, you got to take advantage of it. And right now what's happening is that there's a chance for people that have mortgage bailouts to demand rent and come up pretty fat during this pandemic. They're gonna leave this pandemic richer than they went into it, because they didn't have to pay the mortgage. They didn't have to. They had a lot of different forgiveness and grants, and they ran out of money for that small business protection thing. But that means that all that money's out there. All those business like a lot of business owners have it.
Mad at and holding accountable, not fucking renters. Okay, that's not the onus is not on the largest, poorest demographic in our fucking country to fix it from the It is, in an ideological sense, it is up to us to come together and fix it from the bottom up by supporting each other through mutual aid, through community building. Yes, financially, that is not a fucking... I'm never going to bootstrap my way to being a billionaire.
No.
You know why? Because I'm not a shitty person. I'm not going to exploit others in order to become a billionaire. Yeah. And, surprise... That's how you become a billionaire. Yeah. You exploit a lot of fucking people. Yeah. That's it. And done, period. If you live in any of the states in the United States, there's a millionaire that lives in your state. There's millionaires in every state. That's just the facts. That's the way that the world has become. Chances are there's millionaires in your town.
There might be millionaires. In our case, there is definitely millionaires in our town. Those people really are probably just people that really fucking grinded. Either they came into that wealth via their family, or they grinded the shit out of the fucking system that is at play to get themselves to $1 million. You know what I mean? And bravo to them. I really hope that from their perspective, where they've done so much work, they will see why it's important to open the gate for other people to have that opportunity.
And that's millionaire.
That's millionaires. If you have gotten yourself to the billionaire level, just so we're on the same page here, that is becoming a millionaire 1,000 times over. So, and that's in the U.S. In the U.K., billions are different. But anyway, yeah, if you've done that, you've exploited a lot of workers, and you've put
grind your way to $1 billion.
Yeah, you have put profit before ethics. Almost guaranteed, unless you have done some insane amount of. I can't even imagine it. Like, I'm trying to imagine how Amazon would have operated ethically to get to the point that they are now, and it's not really fathomable for me. I would say almost any Amazon employee. Maybe I won't say any. I'm sure there's some weird like Trumper loyalist Amazon employees, but like, I'd say probably a solid like more than half of any Amazon employees you ask will tell you that they're not an ethical company.
And also, you really think that the fucking shareholders and CEOs or CFOs of fucking Amazon or Jeff fucking Bezos works 1 billion times harder, or like what, many millions of times harder than fucking his average worker? I don't fucking think so. I don't think so.
And people that don't think that this is
that's not a thing.
If you are skeptical about whether or not the response to the viral pandemic is class-based, keep in mind that if you and I are forced back to work, if eviction protection is removed, if we are not eligible for unemployment, if we are basically forced into poverty, then our choices will be to go into a workplace and risk exposure, which if it's a hoax, it's fine. It's not a big deal, I guess. If it's not a hoax, we're risking exposure to a deadly virus. And I should basically stop saying that. I'm trying to prove a point to the people that do think that this is a hoax, that it's a really fucking stupid opinion.
It's not a fucking hoax. If you think this is a hoax, you are, like, lethally misinformed.
Even if it fucking was. You know what else is a hoax? Like, the perception of maybe there's not a bullet in this chamber when you're playing Russian roulette. You know what I mean? Until you pull the trigger, you won't find out. So maybe just don't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Anyway, just know that like they're calling for us to go back to work, and they want us to go back to work so that they can have their soy lattes and they can have their nails done, and that you can serve them their beer. Whatever you do for a living, if you're a working class person, if you work in a service industry, they want you to go back to serving them, and people that are really rich, that you think about sitting around at home all the time because they have so much money that they don't have to work. They're the ones that are calling for that because they want their nails done, and they don't give a fuck if you or your family die.
And they want to not have to pay you unemployment.
Yeah, they would really like it if everyone was told that you have to go back to work, allowed to go back to work. Oh yeah, if everyone was told that you're allowed to go back to work, and then staying at home is a choice, and then you don't need to get unemployment if you choose to stay home, which is, I mean,
even though going to work when there's a deadly virus is literally risking death.
Yeah.
I don't get what's so hard, like, complicated about that. You know, this thing can kill you. If you're going, you're risking it killing you. I don't know how else to, like...
Yeah, exactly.
like,
it's currently May 2nd, right, I think?
Yes?
It's May 2nd, 2020.
Yes.
As of now, there's 200,000 fatalities and 3.5 million confirmed cases documented. So,
yeah,
maybe it'll just be fine.